Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be going through everything Kabam had to say on today's live stream. So much to get into, so much new content, new reworks, sagas, everything. No time for messing around. Sorry I didn't have this up earlier, I was travelling, but I'm here now. We're going to get into absolutely everything, kicking it off with the Dark Phoenix saga. This is going to be a 3-month saga starting on March 5th, ending June 4th. I'll be honest, I completely forgot that we were in the Deathless saga. I didn't even realise that had begun. But that was a 2-month saga. This is going to be a 3-month saga. And with that comes the new saga Chase Champion. And this champion is going to be the buffed version of Phoenix. Finally, Phoenix is going to get her day. She's going to be as powerful as she is in the comics. Okay, maybe not that powerful, but still something close to it or better than what we have right now. In order to get this champion, you need to collect dark plumes from various sources across the contest. Once you have 75, you can enter a special quest where you will fight the Dark Phoenix boss. Yes, to the old-timers in the community, we are bringing this boss back, and you will have to fight her. If you get 150 dark plumes, there will be another path and you can awaken your 7-star version of Phoenix, but that's only going to be accessible if you spend a lot of the moolah. Only 84 I believe, of these dark plumes available to the free-to-play players, to the peasants. And you can see there, one of the ways of getting these dark plumes is through the May Valiant event quest. We are getting a restructuring of the event quest, just like my video I made not 2 days ago, where I basically predicted the future. I made a separate video on that because I thought it was so funny. Where I basically predicted the future and said that we're going to need, in order to stimulate the player base, buff to the event quest that includes a bit of a restructure how it works to really get people into it. And that's exactly what we're getting. We're getting that in May, and I'm certainly looking forward to that. Going to be live streaming that when it comes out. But yeah, Phoenix is getting a buff. She's going to be the Chase Champion for the new Dark Phoenix saga. Now let's move it on. And the next piece of news is that Lumitrix, the second idol character, will be coming to the contest in April. In order to get her, you will need to collect light essence from across the contest, and you need 12 of these light essence to get 7-star Lumitrix. Now, there will be a free-to-play path, but most summoners will have to spend something in order to get these 12 light essence. You can get them from being number 1 in the featured champion arenas. You will get some light essence depending on where you finish in the gladiator circuit in battlegrounds. There will be some in double track. There will be some in new raids content and scattered around the contest as well as we build up to April. Idol champions are the champions with fractured power bars. The first one was Isophene, and I really hope that Lumitrix makes more of an impact than Isophene did. She kind of was restricted to her uses against Serpent and Maestro, which of course are great uses, but as a Mystic champion in general, I think she's been passed aside by the community. But remember, she was given out for free in a login calendar. To acquire Lumitrix is a hell of a lot harder, and I believe therefore she will be a hell of a lot more powerful with all those forearms swinging around. Great work by the VFX team. Let's move it on. And up next, the Titan pool has been updated. You can see the champions leaving the crystal on the bottom row. They are Patriot Leader, Hood, Superior Iron Man, Arcade, and North Star. I'm particularly excited for Hood and Arcade to hit the basic pool. People are going to be able to sig up their Hoods, make him more competitive, and Arcade is just Arcade. The new champions entering the Titan pool are Arnim Zola, Okoye, Gentle, Joaquin Phoenix. Is it Joaquin? I think Joaquin Phoenix, Dazzler, and Spider-Man Supreme. So I'd say save your Titans. This is going to be a very, very powerful batch of champions. Looking forward to every single one of those, apart from maybe Gentle. They all have their uses. They're all great champions. And yeah, save your Titans because 7-star Okoye. Oh boy. Anyway, let's move it on. So next up is the Ordeal. So this is new endgame content getting added to the game, and I must say, just a quick note, the amount of endgame content that's been coming out recently is a bit mad. It's a bit mad. It's like every other month I log on to a live stream where I see a community post, and it's just like more endgame content. I'm just like, ugh. I'm a free-to-play player, and I'll tell you what, since like the end of last year, I've been pushed to the maximum trying to get past all this content to keep up with the meta. And, I'm very torn about it because, in one sense, I like the endgame rewards are accessible via content and not through spending. I think it's good that we're getting access to these rank 4 materials, these tier 7 basics, these rank up gems, through doing the competitive content and actually completing it instead of just spending. But on the other hand, it's coming out very, very quickly, and it's certainly tough for me to keep up. I'm going to have to do an Acropolis run on Sunday, and then they didn't mention 9.2 in this stream, so I imagine that'll come out maybe in a month's time. But we also have this, and if to those of you who haven't done the Karina's Challenge in Acropolis or the Epoch of Pain, your revive stash is going to take a bit of a hit with the rate at which they're coming out with this. Like, the Epoch of Pain was last month. The paint has barely dried on that content, and yet we're already going back in with something new. But okay. It's not as hard as it could be, I suppose. The player base already has lots of experience with the Grandmaster's Gauntlet. We know roughly what to expect, so it could be worse, I suppose. But a piece of exciting news with this content, it will contain rank 4 materials, it will contain a tier 7 basic, and if you are free to play like me, if you've done 5 out of 6 of the Korean challenges in the Acropolis, if you've completed the Epoch of Pain, and then you go ahead and you get through this content, then you will be able to take a 7-star 2 rank 4 with catalysts. You don't need a gem. If you have 3 of those tier 7 basics, I believe that's enough, along with quite a few tier 4 alphas and the whole lot. But your first 7-star rank 4 with catalysts. All right, let's move it on. And of course, with the monthly live streams, we got a little bit of a first look into Jean Grey and Bastion, the 2 new champions to hit the game in March. Definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are so close to 500 subscribers. And then, I'll put in an application for the content creator beta. No promises on the first try. It is entirely up to Kabam's discretion. They may just tell me to piss off. But certainly looking to apply, and I can bring you lots of content on these 2 absolutely insane looking characters. I'll show some footage from both of them. Let's hop into Jean Grey now.
To begin, strike the opponent with your light attacks to stack on your Neuroshock debuffs. If the opponent doesn't natively purify or cleanse debuffs, you can use your heavy attack to purify those Neuroshocks and start gaining your Uncanny passives and Psionic charges. Uncanny allows you to use less power when consuming your specials. So, build to just under your new Special 2 while continuing this process, and launch your Special 1 to consume your charges and inflict your Neuroshock passives. From here, build up to your Special 2 and launch to inflict your Daunted and deal a burst of energy damage for each Neuroshock and Psionic charge. If the opponent isn't already knocked out, just repeat until they are. Now, if the opponent just loves to purify those debuffs, don't worry too much about your heavy attack and just fight normally to stack on, well, try to stack on those debuffs and profit from the easy Psionic charges. Then, go crazy with those Neuroshock passives and turn them into mind-blowing bursts of Psionic energy. And hey, that force field can really come in handy when it comes to absorbing damage if you happen to mess up. And don't forget, when awakened, her parry stun becomes a passive, allowing you to fight those skill champions who don't really love receiving stun debuffs without messing up your loop. So, stay aggressive and revel in those uncanny bursts of big red damage.
So Jean Grey there, showcasing some of her utility. She looks absolutely insane. It seems to me that she has this L1, L2 sort of loop, but she's a very unique character with a very unique sort of power efficiency. You can see they kind of modified her very power bar to show you exactly how much each special will now cost, and they've introduced new thresholds to throw off SP1, SP2, SP3, and it seems all you need to do is reach these new thresholds, and then it will cost that amount of power, instead of having to reach the original thresholds and then it's just costing less. That's very interesting. I also like the way the mutant class has kind of changed direction. Now it's not relying on effects placed on itself, and so no prowesses, more focused on Daunted and burst damage in order to access its damage peaks. and that certainly leaves room for growth in the tech class. I like the way the mutant class is growing nowadays, apart from Gentle. And yeah, certainly looking forward to playing with Jean Grey. So let's move it on. And the next champ to be added to the game will be Bastion. I am really looking forward to Bastion. I honestly believe of the two of them, this guy is going to be where it's at. He's going to be 100% resistant to bleeding poison. He gains a self-repair buff whenever he's inflicted with one of those, or with a crushed, which is certainly directed towards Onslaught. He isn't going to be Neuroshock immune. I would have predicted that he'd be Neuroshock immune, but no. But he will gain a lot of regen when encountering an Onslaught, and I do not believe he's going to be metal, which means that he can get rid of his Neuroshocks. You can parry non-contact, again, targeted towards Onslaught, and he inflicts these virus charges, which is how his kit loops, but I'm going to show that now.
To begin, perform a heavy to inflict your disintegration passive. Strike the opponent and start building your techno-mechanical virus charges. These will build naturally, so just focus on fighting normally. Once you reach 30, you'll inflict your techno-mechanical infection. Make your way up to about 2.5 bars of power, and then launch to gain both of your Fury passives. After this, build to Special 1 and cancel your heavy after the second hit to inflict your disintegration and burst the opponent down with instant disintegrations. Now, this burst is increased for each personal disintegration on the opponent. So, in a longer fight, you can launch your Special 3 to inflict your lengthy disintegration debuff. And don't forget, whenever a non-instant energy damaging effect fails due to his infection, he inflicts his disintegration vulnerability passive. And his self-repair buff is extremely useful for countering bleed, poison, and crush effects. And hey, that pursuit passive on his heavy attack is great for countering those pesky evaders. So, don't let any slippery mutant champions mess up your loot. Activate that pursuit and disintegrate all in your path.
So that is what we have for Bastion, and you can tell why I'm so excited. This man seems to be geared towards mutants of all kind, with his damage coming from disintegration, which is a new sort of damage effect that the mutant class hasn't adapted to yet. He seems to be geared up to take all sorts of evaders, including Bullseye, with plenty of utility against Bleed and Poison and Crushed, which is becoming more and more common. Well, some very nice regen effects, and I mean, credit to the animations team, as always with these new champions, always coming up with these brilliant new animations. And yeah, super excited for Bastion. I just want to take him everywhere. I want to do everything with him. He looks amazing. Very nice, solid addition to the tech class. Going to be hard to follow Arnim Zola, but I think Bastion is going to more than do that. And some other smaller bits of news. The Cyclops buff. It is coming. They have a working beta version for it. And if you pay the moolah, then you will get him as a 7-star. If you do not pay the moolah, it doesn't seem that you'll be able to get him, but you will be earning Dark Plumes in that free track that you need to get Phoenix, the buff version of Phoenix from the Saga chase. So I suppose that's useful. And on to some very exciting news here, an International Women's Day rework vote. So through a series of Realm events, the community will be able to vote for which one of these champions gets a rework. It's an interesting selection. I question whether or not Rogue actually needs a buff. I think Suida will have a thing or two to say about how that gets handled before it ruins her in her current state. She is probably single-handedly the most underrated champion in the entire game. She functions more as a mystic than a mutant, but no matter. She only needs tiny buff to her damage to make her actually viable, as she already is. Squirrel Girl, really quirky. Would love to see her at the front of the skill class. A class that is in dire need of more 7-star representatives. And a buff version of Squirrel Girl would be the perfect way to go about getting some more of those. Wolverine X-23 is a personal favourite of mine. Would love to see her get some love. Jubilee. Okay. Morningstar. Okay. Invisible Woman. Would love to see a way of ramping her that doesn't take 6 million years. Same thing with Proxima Midnight. Moving it on. So now onto the final piece of news from this live stream, Nightmare Raids. Seems interesting to me. It seems odd that Kabam felt it necessary to buff raids, make raids more challenging and more rewarding, but Battlegrounds is fine. That seems weird to me, that they buffed raids but not Battlegrounds. But anyway, to those of you who think raids are too easy, for whatever reason, I personally think they're fine. But I know that there are some of you who think it's too easy, certainly after watching my video of Luke Cage absolutely tearing it up. Maybe we are in need of a bit of a buff to the difficulty, but this Nightmare Raid offers bigger rewards, but bigger challenges as well, with more information about boss phases and raid penance to be coming later in a separate forum post. We don't know much about that right now, but we will be seeing bigger rewards, more challenge, and I only wish they paid attention to Battlegrounds. They didn't mention it once this live stream, which is a bit unfortunate. But anyway, I think that is all the news that I can squeeze out of one live stream. It was a big live stream. Lots of stuff coming out. Valiant Event Quest, new Saga, new champions, new endgame content. All the go. Double track events, new 7 stars, reworks, left, right, and centre. Good stuff, I'd say. And I didn't go into anything about a promo code. It's probably too late now. Anyway, that is just about all I have for you today. If you have made it this far, then thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. We are so close to 500 subscribers. Thank you, and bye-bye.